Hi everybody and welcome to this introduction to JavaScript. As you're watching the video, don't forget to stay focused, pay attention, and don't be afraid to try out the things that you see in the videos. Let's get started.
Hi everybody, in today's JavaScript tutorial we're going to do a quick review of things that we should already know. So we're going to look at variables, prompt, and console. Then we're going to look at how to push data into the body of our web page. So we're not just pushing it into the console, which can be very useful, but we're actually going to push it into the body of our web document. So this is a web document, and of course some people call it a web page. Okay, so let's get started. Just going to do a quick review of things that we should know. I'm just going to create a small program in JavaScript which is going to ask me for my age. Now you should know how to do this. To prepare a few things, I'm just going to create a variable called age. And now I'm going to assign, using the equal sign here, I'm going to assign some data to the age variable. And I'm going to push that into the console. Okay, so if we save that and refresh my web page, nothing happens. Oh, I do have something in the body section. I have an h1 element, which I've put some inline styling into that. But apart from that, there's no age. So I'm using Google Chrome. I'm going to go Control-Shift-J to open up my console. And there we go. So let's change that to a prompt. Just going to ask how old are you in a prompt using the prompt function, and we'll assign that to the same variable and then push it into the console log. So let's just refresh that. How old are you? Okay, so that works. Brilliant. And let's just make a little sentence. So you are years old. So we're making a sentence now. Again, I'm just going to save that and refresh. Okay. I might want to do some maths with this age. Okay. Now remember, this is coming from the keyboard, and JavaScript doesn't recognize that as a number. It just sees it as text. Anything from the keyboard is text. So because I know, as the programmer, that I want this to be a number, I'm going to have to convert it to be a number. So I'm going to use this thing, parseInt, to convert this text to be a number and then reassign it back to itself. So it's now a number. Okay? So I could say, next year, you will be age +1. Now I can do some maths with this because it's a number. Age +1 years old. So let's just see if that works. How old are you? Next year you will be 24 years old. Okay, so we can do maths with this variable because the variable is storing a number. Okay? So hopefully these concepts are cool with you. What we're going to look at today is, instead of pushing the data into the console, I would love to push the data into the web page. Right? Wouldn't it be great if waiting on our web page was an element? Let's just use a p tag. Now this element is waiting for JavaScript to push some information into it in here, this kind of inner section of the element. Wouldn't that be great if we could do that? Now, it could be that there are lots of elements on the web page waiting for JavaScript to push some data into them. The problem that JavaScript has got is it doesn't know which element to use because they're all the same. Okay? So for example, if I was to do this in my JavaScript, we're going to use prompt again. How old are you? We're going to assign that, the user information, to a variable, which I've already declared. It's ready. Now we can use it. I want to push that age into here, into this p tag, into this kind of inner section of the p tag. How does JavaScript know which element to push this data into? Here's the answer. I'm going to give this element an ID. And I'm going to call the ID, let's call it age element. Okay? So this p tag now has a unique ID. No other element on the web page has this ID. This is just for this p tag. It's unique. ID equals age element. Okay? And we're going to try and push this data into this inner section of this element which has an ID age element. Okay? So this is how we're going to do it. After we get the data, we're going to do this. We're going to say, hey, document. Now remember, this is the document. This is a web document, this thing here. So we're going to say, hey, document, I want you to get the element with the ID age element. This ID here. I want you to get the element that has this ID. Okay? Just going to stretch this out a little bit so we can see maybe a little bit clearer what's going on. So what this code does is it targets the element that is specified in these brackets. And note there's also some quotation marks. Document.getElementById. Now trust me guys, every JavaScript programmer on planet Earth is very familiar with this line of code. And hopefully, maybe not today, but certainly tomorrow or next week or next month, you will also be familiar with this line of code. So here we have the element, it's waiting, I've already set it up, I've given it an ID, there it is. And now I'm going to target it in JavaScript. And I'm going to say, hey, element, age element, I want you to push some data into your inner section. That's this bit here, this inner bit here. It's empty at the moment. There's nothing there. But this is the inner HTML of this element. So document.getElementById age element, that's this one here. Here it is. Dot inner HTML. I'm going to assign it this thing, age. Wow! Is that going to work? Oh my goodness. Should we see? Let's have a look and see if the code that I've just written is going to work. So we're going to save it there and we're going to refresh it here. How old are you? 41. Bling! Boom! It worked. I managed to target an element on my web page and I managed to access its inner HTML section, which I told you is this middle bit here between the tags. That's the inner HTML bit. And I've pushed this data into this bit of this element. Okay, so I'm going to do it again. Var my hometown. Then I'm going to get some data from the user. My hometown equals, I didn't use a capital T there. Let's just change that to a capital T so everything is consistent. My hometown equals prompt. I'm going to get something from the user. Where is your hometown? Let's just ask a very direct question. Where is your hometown? So there we go. Now I'm going to push this data into the body of my web page. Document.getElementById. I don't have an element to target. I'm using this one for the age. Let's set up a new element with a different ID, and I'm just going to call it hometown. So I'm going to use this element for this piece of data here. I'm going to push this into this. Okay, so document.getElementById hometown. So that's that one. This is this element here. Go and look for that element and push into the inner HTML some data. And the data we're going to push into there is this data here, my hometown. So the JavaScript, when it gets to this line of code, it's going to look for this element in the web page. It's going to go looking for it. This one? No. This one? No. This one? Yes! This is it. This is the element. We found it. Bingo. So now that it's got it, it's going to look for the inner HTML section, which is in here, and it's going to push or assign some data to it. That's how it works. So let's just save this and refresh the web page. How old are you? Where is your hometown? Brilliant. It works. All right, let's have a go at today's exercises.